Welcome to C-Suite Talks. We speak with industry leaders, introducing you to some of the most interesting people and businesses today. I'm sorry, let's start that again. We are focused on women, money, and power, as well as diversity in all areas. I'm Dianne Gubin, co-CEO of C-Suite, along with...
I'm Beth Hilving, co-CEO of C-Suite as well. And today we're so blessed to have a C-Suite member and have Cara Steele on the call with us today. Welcome, Cara. And Cara has worked in the casino and resort industry for over 23 years, focusing mostly on data analytics and finance. In the data analytics arena, she has a deep understanding of consumer behavior and operational analytics. Recently, Cara took a turn into the HR sector, which is quite a turn, but the data analytics are very important in that sector. She's also a co-founder of Restaurant Hospitality Institute, a certified post-secondary school focused on the front of house of food service. Cara is also on the board of trustees and a treasurer for the St. Jude's Ranch for Children, a nonprofit that provides a safe and nurturing home and therapeutic treatment for abused and neglected children. Thank you for that, Cara, very much.
Welcome, Cara. Thank you to our listeners. We're so honored to have you today, Cara. So tell us, you know what, you've got such an amazing career for sure. So tell us about how did you end up in the gaming industry? Because that's not a typical industry.
It isn't a typical industry, and that it wasn't intentional, actually. So I graduated out of sync with formal recruiting. If people remember that, when universities do the formal career recruiting because they want everybody to be employed. And so the university, of course, still wants a high job rate. And so they were like, yes, still absolutely participate in recruiting. But my parents were like, well, you can't just sit around and you have to get a job while you're looking for your career.
I think we've all heard that.
We've all are given that speech, as the case may be. And so I was back in my hometown on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, which has a pretty bustling casino industry.
Yes.
And so with that, I got a job actually as an entry-level bookkeeper. I made like $8 an hour, just doing basic accounting. But like any good career recruitee, I updated my resume with my like 2 lines of casino experience, right? I have a job. And the casino role I had at the time, also my schedule was Wednesdays and Sundays. So it allowed me to have Mondays and Tuesdays off, which is great for interviewing, take off time.
So you work Saturdays and Sundays instead?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, and so with that, I updated my little resume. It goes in the book just to put a timestamp on it when nothing was digital, and they literally published actual books and sent it to companies and go, here's all our graduates, please pick.
Wow,
I was in there,
that's interesting.
and what ended up happening was the Harrah's Casino in New Orleans saw this, which is a bigger gaming company. At the time, I worked for a smaller casino, and they were like, we want you to come be a financial analyst for us, which I wanted to be a financial analyst for Wall Street or a bigger company. So I was like, this is great. Yeah, let's do it. Moved back to New Orleans, which is where I went to college, and kind of the rest is history. And I've been in the industry now like 23 years. Everybody's like, well, why did you stay? And I honestly stayed for like a number of reasons. First and foremost, the people are amazing. I have grown in my own personal family you choose through all of my Caesars and Harrah's relationships over time.
Okay.
With my roles, at the time, the company was very decentralized. So every single property had its own accounting and finance and marketing team. And they were almost like little independent fiefdoms under a kind of corporate umbrella. So to get promoted, what you usually did was relocate.
Okay.
And so I was single and young and feel good and fancy free. So I ended up moving 5 times in 10 years. So I've lived all over the United States, which also is amazing. I have a real appreciation for the sameness and the differences in our
That's a
in our
wonderful
country.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's amazing. I lived on the East Coast, the Midwest, I live in the South, and now I arguably live on the West Coast, even though Nevada doesn't actually have
Well,
coast.
all the California people are moving to Nevada, so
Right,
yeah.
right. You're on the eastern part of the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm on the eastern part of the West Coast. Exactly. Um, so, you know, it allowed for me to have different things, but with the same environment and grow my tenure with the company, expand my network, which is super important. I also a member of a women's organization in gaming called Global Gaming Women. And I was hosting a dinner for young up and coming executives.
Uh-huh.
And I looked them all up on LinkedIn ahead of time and researching all of them. And I realized for every single one, I knew their boss or some other person in their company, in their network. And I was like, oh, I had a big realization. I was like, oh my gosh, my network is much bigger than I probably gave it credit for, because you don't ever take an audit of it. But it was just, I was meeting 10 strangers and I had 10 connections, which was kind of amazing to know. And so also
That's
the
great.
work was really interesting. One of the better things about the company was if you're a good worker and smart and can think on your feet, they kind of let you do not what you want, but they give you a chance, right? So if you're like, I'm interested in marketing, because I was hired as a financial analyst, but in my education, I'm going to have an economics and finance background, and I discovered while working that marketing analytics was applied economic theory. Like it was great. Like when do you actually get a job understanding incentives that drive human behavior, right? And then so those were amazing projects to work on to understand what motivates people, what subtle changes you can make in design or an incentive or programmatic changes or like the slot floor like layout that changes um, human behavior. And
Ooh, this
so
sounds like an inside secret.
I know.
well, it's
Exactly.
not an inside secret. If you study economics, every
Yeah.
economics professor on the planet will be like, yep, that's exactly what we're trying to tell people what to do.
Oh.
That's awesome.
It is absolutely not a secret, but it is a tool to make the
hmm
customer experience better, right? Because ultimately all the casinos are offering this basically the same thing, right? The slot machines, table games, you have a restaurant, you might have a hotel, you're going to have an entertainment venue. Um, there, you can get most of those things everywhere. So then it becomes the true customer service experience. And so, what can we do to make that experience different, better, easier um, for our team members, right? And so, it's like, it's really fascinating. And if you nerd out on like behavioral economics, like it, it's right up the alley. Um, so, and then the last reason I kind of stayed, and it's a long story, but besides the work, is that
hmm
they were good at reinvesting in their team members. So
mm
while I lived in Chicago, there were several properties in the Chicagoland area. So I still moved within Chicagoland, but they foot half my bill for me to go to graduate school, which
Oh,
was
that's
super.
wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, as they
So
should,
few,
as they should.
yeah, and so few
So,
companies
Yeah.
do that now.
So, I
Yeah.
so
mean,
how
and
did
they
you
always had
move?
tuition.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna switch to saying, how'd you move from finance and marketing to human resources?
Yeah.
What drew you to that?
Right,
Um,
right.
I have a long-term plan of sitting on corporate boards, as many women do. I'm
Oh,
also
our
a
big
member.
C-suite initiative, women on boards. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually a member of Women on Boards, like the national organization as well. And I was chatting with some women who were on boards, and we were talking about makeup and the levels of experience and things like that. And one of the most common committees on corporate board, publicly traded boards, are is the compensation committee, but
Right.
very few people on corporate boards actually even have any HR experience, much less compensation experience specifically. And
hmm
which, and so when post COVID, the opportunity opened up. And like I said, Caesars is a great company and they give you a chance. There, I had mentioned some time back, I was like, I think I need to do this so I can achieve these goals. And the role opened up and there I was in a meeting and they're like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Right.
Cara, you are the exact epitome of the exact right place at the right time.
Oh,
So,
it really actually was.
right. Yeah. So you went from finance to HR, and then somewhere along the way, you opened up the Restaurant and Hospitality Institute, which is interesting because you've got this entire background, in finance and analytics and HR, but all of a sudden you're in restaurant and hospitality. So what made that?
So, my husband is a fourth generation food and beverage professional. His
Okay.
Oh, I
great
didn't know
grandfather
that.
was an original brewmaster for Guinness, like multi generations into.
Whoa.
I know, right? Multi generation into it, and he has spent most of his career opening some of the premier restaurants on the Strip. If you've been in it, he probably opened it.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to hang out with Cara when we come because she knows all the good restaurants.
It is
Exactly.
true. It is true. We get that call all the time. I'm coming to Vegas. Where do I go? That happens nearly every day. And he kept getting a level of frustration with the lack of actual training that comes with front of house food service, right? So for
Oh,
cooks,
okay.
you go to culinary school and they teach you how to chop onions and saute and cook and roast and all the technical skills. But what most people don't appreciate is that the food server is not only a vital role, but it's more than just being nice with a friendly smile. You need to be able to read the table. You're the salesperson. So upselling, cross-selling, downselling is a meaningful skill for a successful business. It also honestly helps your tips. It's easier. One of the things it's an easy thing to say, but one of the things it's easier to sell a drink when there's about this much left in the glass than when the glass is completely empty. Would you like
Ooh.
another? I'm almost done. Yes, I would. Once it's empty, you're kind of like, maybe not. I don't want to wait. And I'm wrapping up. And that's an easy one more glass of wine, one more beer, one more cocktail. And that's in Vegas, $15-$20 more revenue for the casino. Your tip
Right.
base goes up by the
Wow.
amount,
Boy, talk about
right?
learning something every day.
And that's what we have for the school. And so the school also has, so we train students. We train for those under 21. We have a hospitality jumpstart, which is hostesses and bussers. And then we have a meaningful hospitality server program for those over 21. And the line of demarcation is in Nevada, you have to be 21 to serve alcohol. And so
Okay.
that's why we draw that line in the sand. Not every state has that rule. Nevada does. Um, and so the goal really is to elevate the hospitality experience for everybody. And so with that has also led to a myriad of consulting work with lots of different companies, mostly big ones, and ones you'll name. I don't necessarily, ones you would know if I said.
Okay.
And because we also, while we're not certified Forbes, we understand the Forbes sequence of service. And so we can train on that and help restaurants become that level. Um, we also can understand the operational efficiencies, which is where my kind of analytics role came in and my finance role came in. I've looked at so many restaurant P&Ls over the course of my career. I can look at it and go, this is wrong. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but it's incorrect. Um, and so we have that. And then we also expanded to, because we get these questions about where to eat and what do we want to do, or people who just want to have a good time, we do wine tasting classes that are how to read a wine menu. We'll go through the 8 major varietals of wine and let you know why they're different, why they're special. We do a one that's a value wine class. So if you're taking clients out to a dinner, but you don't want to break the bank, how to get a bottle of like sparkling wine that's as good as champagne, but not at the champagne price, right? And how to read a menu and know what to get. And we do etiquette classes. So we work with professionals or young adults who are like, I'm hosting my first business dinner. What do I do? We also started a program with kids, like in high school again, so they can,
That's
because a
really
lot of times
good.
their parents don't even know to teach them, right? And then lastly, one of the kind of newest thing we've been doing, which is not that new now, but we've started working with the nonprofits for people in reentry. So um, people who might be ex-convicts, people who are in recovery from drugs or alcohol abuse, or maybe they were in a domestic violence situation. And we do that training at a discount. So we put ourselves on the eligible training providers list, which is a national list to provide help for nonprofits. And so it lands under their grants, and we will teach classes. We get everybody in the state of Nevada, we can help them get all their work cards, which is its own stack of paperwork. But we have a process, and we have good relationships with all of the people who provide them. And so we can get people on their feet pretty
Oh,
fast.
that's
Wow.
fabulous. That's
That's
really good.
amazing. Cara, what great work you're doing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You've got your regular day job career, then you're running the Restaurant and Hospitality Institute, or at least helping with that, right? And all the good around that. And then you're also involved with St. Jude's Ranch for Children. So tell us how that evolved and what does that look like for
I
you?
mean, most people know the name St.
Yeah.
Jude's, but I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize there was a ranch in Nevada for children.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
very
we've all
interesting.
many of us have made contributions to St. Jude's. Is it the same organization, I'm
It is
assuming?
not the same
Oh,
Oh,
organization.
it's
it's
not.
not.
So
Okay.
Oh.
we're same patron saints, but not same organization. So we are no
Oh.
affiliation to the Cancer Research Hospital.
Oh.
We provide homes and therapy and reentry and for children in neglect and abusive situations. So we're an extension of Child Protective Services for all intents and purposes. And so we provide on-site foster homes, and we train foster parents, and we give them a home to live in if they want to live on the ranch.
Oh,
And they can have the homes can hold 6 to 8 kids, and we pay those parents as foster parents. So they're trained and certified by the state, but they come live on the ranch and become paid paid parents. And so to help these kids out of situations, and they're usually kids that might not do well just in a one-on-one foster home in the public sector, because we provide on-site therapy and things like that as well. But we also, the goal is to kind of break the cycle. So one of the shortfalls of Child Protective Services is when you're 18, you're out.
Yes.
We've got nothing for you. You're an adult now. You're done. And so we have a bridge program for young adults, to basically, what ends up happening when you're 18 is a lot of those kids end up coming homeless. And
oh,
so
okay.
we
Yeah,
have a
even
That's
if they're
sad.
still in school, it doesn't even matter. It's like you're
yeah,
18, it doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the year. Yeah.
right. They're out. And so we provide a program for 18 to 23, homeless youth program,
Hmm.
and we help. That's where vocational training comes in. We set them up with little apartments. We own a handful of apartment complexes around the city. So they get jobs, they can go to college, we have scholarships, um, to avoid, to again break that cycle. We also have a pregnant and parenting teen program, again, trying to break the cycle. Let's get ahead of it before it becomes a bigger issue. And then our newest campaign, our program, is probably the most audacious, in that we had. And our CEO is a brilliant woman, and she had this plan. And she's like, we need a center for, and I hate saying this every time, child victims of human trafficking. And so
No, no, it's a
right now
fact.
they go to juvenile detention, and they're basically re-victimized. It's not their choice. They didn't pick this life. It picked them, and it's tragic and terrible. And so we are in the process of building a facility called the Healing Center, which we own a lot of land in Boulder City, which is about 20 minutes outside of Vegas, right on Lake Heath. And so we're building a completely separate but new facility for those children, and it will have a school that's funded by Clark County, so it's part of the public school system, but it'll be a special school for their needs. They will have in-home services. It's a beautiful facility. When we engage the architectural and design firm, according to their CEO, there was just a mad rush for all the architects wanted to participate in designing it, like a fight because it's such a need. And as far as we know, the first of its kind in the United States.
Oh,
There isn't a facility like this, and so that's the new plan. And we also are involved not just in foster care then, but now in a lot of anti-trafficking um, business, which has a big crossover. Caesars is a huge supporter of
Right.
anti-trafficking
I remember you telling me
activities.
that.
And so there was a lot of synergies to be had between the two organizations.
wow.
And
So,
so
Cara, you are doing like the most amazing work. Honestly, you are like a force of nature, just doing good in the world. So Cara Steele, how can folks reach you if they're interested in any of the programs or initiatives that you're running?
Um, absolutely, they can reach me on LinkedIn. If you're interested in the school, it's rhinstitute.com. And if you're interested in the ranch or supporting the ranch or getting involved, or people who want to get involved, it's stjudesranch.org.
Okay, that's easy.
To,
And
Yeah.
so
to
all of those are all available out on the web.
Well, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Cara
you.
Steele. It is just such a pleasure to have you on our show today. We want to thank our listeners. We'd also like to thank our sponsors. Our sponsors include City National Bank, Uncle Nearest, Nutanix, which is enterprise software, Allspring Global Investments, Co-Brands, and C-Suite Executive Search. If you're hiring for your team, please give us a call. And let's wrap up. Hit the subscribe button anywhere. Our podcasts are on Apple, Spotify, everywhere. Leave us a review, a good one, of course, and follow us on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram.
And thank you, Cara, again, for being a member of C-Suite and active in building out the Las Vegas chapter. So thank you for that.
Yes.
No problem.
And thank you for doing all your great work you're doing.
Yes.
For
Thank
sure.
you so much.